world of Dissidia welcomes you, Kupo. Kupo, 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 Kupo.
People of the internet, my name is Ty Richardson, and this is Final Fantasy Dissidia NT. No, Dissidia Final Fantasy NT Free Edition. Holy crap, what a terrible title. It is exactly what it looks. This is a Final Fantasy fighting game, and it's not bad. It's not good, but it's not bad. It's basically, if you haven't heard of this series, I want to say it's a series, maybe? I'm not entirely sure. This is the first time I have heard about it. It is a Final Fantasy fighting game where all of your favorite heroes and villains are clashing swords and magic and materia and whatever the hell else Final Fantasy is about. I'm not entirely sure. Disclaimer, I am not a Final Fantasy fan. There has never been a game that has spoken to me or grabbed my attention. I just see Final Fantasy as an entity of its own. It's nothing that interests me, and yeah. The only reason I played this is because I do love fighting games, and I figured, why not give this game a chance? Maybe this will pull me in. And sadly, it didn't. I'm not a huge fan of 3D arena games, and mixing that in with Final Fantasy, it didn't sit well. It's a good game though. It's not one of the best, but it's still pretty solid. It's a pretty solid game. So the way it works is you have, excuse me, I'm still dealing with dinner right now. So it's hitting my digestive system pretty bad. But the way this works is you attack your opponents with the circle button, and those are your bravery attacks. By attacking those, you build up your score, as you see at the bottom of the screen, and once you hit a high enough score, you can finish off your opponent with an HP attack, and finishing off your opponent nets your team a point, or it makes the enemy team lose a point. And once you incapacitate 3 opponents, then your team wins the game. It's an okay concept. I would have preferred just... It's basically fighting to the death. That's really all it is. And that's all it could have been, you know. If I was to jump into another Final Fantasy fighting game, I would hope it would be something more in line with, like, Tekken or Soul Calibur or something like that. So, I'm shocked that they haven't done that. I know that Cloud and Tifa, they were guest characters in, what's it called? Air Guys, something like that. It was a PS1 game. And, it had Cloud, Tifa, Yuffie, and one other character. Maybe it was Sephiroth. And I remember reading about fans not really liking that game because they were devolved into characters with pro wrestling moves. But, I don't know the decision behind that. But as for this game, though, it's solid. Like, the action is pretty okay. It can get a little chaotic to watch. Like, there's graphics all over the frickin' place. It's unbelievable. There were quite a few times where I actually had to look away just because I had no idea what the hell was going on and everything was getting way too flashy. Like, I could feel the epilepsy coming on. But the combat, it's okay, and you don't have to worry about any complicated moves, but it reminded me the reason why I don't play hack and slash games. And the reason is because the combos, even the most simple ones, get so stale after a while. You start using them multiple times, eventually to the point where it's like the game loses its luster real quick. And this game certainly did that. It lost its luster. I kept pulling the same 3 moves. You get 3 moves for every face button. You got the normal one, you got up, down, and then there's, of course, dash attack. So wait, yeah, that's 4. I think I said 4. And it's enough to keep you entertained, but at some point it just becomes, let's keep using the same multi-hit combo, and it really starts getting stale very, very quickly. Oh, as you see here though, I'm doing the what is essentially the arcade ladder of the game, and the thing that you saw on the side, that's me selecting which match I want to take on. And the interesting thing about that is you can choose how easy or how hard you want your tournament to go. And they have different tiers. They got bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, and then mithril, I think, was the top one. I think it was like Mir or something, and I immediately thought of South Park with Mir status. But I liked that, and I think this fight here was either on silver or gold, and it was challenging. There was a point where I did have to start worrying about using other attacks and helping teammates and stuff. But the problem is it just gets so stale. Environments are pretty cool, but everything else about it, like, there's just not much here. Maybe some stage hazards would have been nice. I'm not entirely sure. I've been trying to think of ways on how this game could have been more exciting for me, because it's not bad. I may not like Final Fantasy, but this game wasn't bad. I had an okay time. I don't know. They did have one cool feature that I sort of liked and sort of didn't. It's the summons. The summons were okay. Like, I enjoyed seeing the little cinematics of the summons being called forth and everything. But again, it goes back to they got a little too flashy for it, and they took so long to get through. Like, it took a lot of time out of the fight. Yeah, see here? Like, you get to see the summon itself, and then it just unleashes hell, or at least it should have. I have no idea where frickin' summon is. Maybe that was it right there. And it took so much time for something so short. So, this here, though, this is me trying out the online mode. I decided to play as Lightning just because that was the only available character that I was familiar with, somewhat. And I didn't want to... I already spent like 10 battles fighting as Cloud, so figured I would give a change of pace. Unfortunately, I did not do so hot in this fight. I lost. Miserably. I got killed twice. And online, surprisingly, very well stabilized. I didn't experience any hiccups. I can't say the same for my allies and enemies, obviously, but didn't really experience any hiccups, no stutters, no nothing. So yeah, a solid connection. I'm sure most of these players that I was fighting against, though, they've spent way more time with this and know the game's ins and outs than I do. So, but I unfortunately don't think I'll be coming back to this. I love fighting games, and this game was okay, but there's just not much here, and it plays too much like a hack and slash and not like a fighting game. It kind of reminds me of when I played J-Star's Victory versus Plus, or whatever the hell that thing was called. That was a mess of a title in itself. And this game reminds me of that, where you have 3-on-3, and you have all these characters duking it out in this massive environment, and that one didn't pull me in either. But I would much rather go back to that just because I know the characters more. There we go, I lose it. I lose the whole match for the team. Aren't I just the best? Anyways, just to wrap things up, it's a good game, just not enough for me to come back to it. Oh, and if it's any consolation, this one's made by Koei Tecmo, the same guys behind Dead or Alive. Like Team Ninja specifically, they're the same dudes behind the Dead or Alive games, and props to them on this game. Props to them. So check it out. if you're into the 3D arena games or if you're into Final Fantasy. It's a good time. Unfortunately, just not for me.